After 60, I carry a heavy regret. I wish I had taught my daughter, my female friends, and every woman I care about to recognize the warning signs I'm about to share with you. Because I've watched too many wonderful women, particularly those over 60, fall victim to men who prey on their kindness, their hope for companionship, and their assumption that people their age have outgrown cruel manipulation. Today, I want to share with you 5 statements that should immediately end any romantic consideration. Not because I want to make you cynical about love, but because I want to protect you from men who use specific psychological tactics to test your boundaries and your self-worth. If you want to protect yourself and others you care about, subscribe to the channel now and hit the notification bell so you never miss these important insights. With that said, let's dive into the first of 5 red flag statements that should immediately end any romantic consideration. You're too sensitive about everything. Men who use this phrase are engaged in a particularly insidious form of psychological warfare. They're trying to convince you that your natural emotional responses are character flaws. One of the most common and damaging red flags in relationships, especially for women over 60, is when a man dismisses your feelings by telling you, "You're too sensitive about everything." This phrase is not just a casual comment. It's a deliberate tactic used to undermine your emotional experience and make you doubt your own perceptions. When a man says this, he's essentially invalidating your feelings and trying to control the narrative by positioning you as overreacting or being difficult. For mature women who have lived through decades of experiences and have developed emotional insight, this kind of dismissal can be particularly hurtful. It minimizes your right to express how certain words or actions affect you and attempts to silence your emotional boundaries. Saying you're too sensitive is often a way to avoid accountability. He doesn't want to address the real issues or his own behavior, so he shifts the blame onto you. When someone consistently tells you that your emotional responses are wrong, they're not trying to help you grow. They're trying to eliminate your ability to object to their poor treatment. A respectful man might occasionally say, "I think there might be a misunderstanding here," but he would never systematically attack your right to have feelings. Recognizing this phrase as a red flag is crucial. It's a warning that the man may not respect your emotional reality or be willing to engage in healthy communication. Instead of fostering understanding, he's trying to gaslight you, making you question your feelings and your judgment. This tactic can erode your self-esteem over time, leading you to suppress your emotions just to avoid conflict or dismissal. First, trust your own feelings. Don't let anyone make you doubt or dismiss what you're experiencing. Next, set clear boundaries by calmly but firmly expressing that your emotions are valid and deserve respect. Finally, prioritize relationships where you feel heard and understood, where you can share your feelings without fear of judgment or minimization. Your emotional responses are valid. If someone's behavior hurts you consistently, the problem isn't your sensitivity, it's their insensitivity. This boundary testing often escalates into more sophisticated manipulation tactics, particularly those designed to isolate you from your own judgment. Number 2. My ex-wife or past partners were all crazy. Aristotle emphasized that our habits and repeated actions shape who we are, noting, "We are what we repeatedly do." In the context of relationships, this insight is especially revealing. When a man consistently labels every significant woman in his past as crazy or difficult, it's less a reflection of those women and more a mirror of his own emotional patterns. It signals a tendency to avoid accountability, to externalize blame, or to fail in learning from past experiences. Over time, these repeated behaviors can indicate deeper issues with empathy, communication, or emotional responsibility, red flags that are important to recognize early on. Dr. Lundy Bancroft, who has worked with abusive men for decades, identifies this as a critical warning sign. When a man portrays all his exes as crazy, he's accomplishing several manipulative goals. He's positioning himself as the victim. He's suggesting that any woman who complains about his behavior is mentally unstable. And he's testing whether you'll accept his version of events without question. Emotionally mature men recognize that relationships are a two-way street. When a partnership ends, they reflect on their own actions and acknowledge their contributions to the outcome instead of blaming their partner entirely. They can say things like, "We weren't compatible," or "Our goals didn't align," or even admit, "I made mistakes that I've learned from." This self-awareness is a sign of accountability. They understand that growth comes from learning, not finger-pointing. Unlike emotionally immature men, they don't carry a pattern of demonizing every woman they've ever dated. They separate the individual from the relationship and maintain respect even after a breakup. To protect yourself from this pattern, start by listening closely to how he talks about past relationships. Repeatedly blaming exes is a major red flag. Ask gentle but direct questions about what he learned from previous partnerships, and watch whether he takes responsibility or deflects. Pay attention to how he responds to feedback or criticism from you. An emotionally mature man can acknowledge his role without defensiveness. Finally, trust your instincts. If the conversation consistently frames women as the problem, it's a sign to step back and reassess the relationship. Have you ever noticed someone in your life who blames all their past partners instead of taking responsibility? Share your experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories and what you learned from them. Recognizing this early allows you to avoid unnecessary heartache and focus on partners who demonstrate true accountability, an essential foundation before moving on to our next critical red flag. The age-shaming strategy. Here's where I need to share something that makes me genuinely angry about how some men treat women our age. Confucius taught about treating others with dignity, regardless of their station in life. But I've observed that certain predatory men specifically target older women with age-related manipulation because they believe we're more vulnerable to these tactics. I witnessed this heartbreaking scenario when my friend Margaret, a vibrant 70-year-old retired librarian, began dating Frank, a man she met through online dating. Frank seemed attentive and interested at first, but gradually began making comments designed to undermine Margaret's confidence in her desirability and options. "You know, Margaret, most men my age are looking for women in their 50s, Frank would say casually. "You're lucky I don't mind dating someone your age." Or, "I hope you appreciate that I'm not shallow like other men who only care about younger women." And most insidiously, "At our age, we can't afford to be picky about every little thing, can we?" So far, we've seen how manipulative men attack emotional responses and rewrite relationship history.
Now, we see how they specifically weaponize age to make older women feel they should accept poor treatment out of gratitude for any attention at all. Margaret, being a confident and accomplished woman, initially dismissed these comments. But over time, Frank's subtle age shaming began affecting her self-perception. She started questioning whether her standards were too high, whether she should overlook Frank's increasingly disrespectful behavior because dating options are limited at my age. Research from the National Institute on Aging shows that older adults who experience age-based manipulation often develop lowered self-esteem and increased tolerance for mistreatment. Frank was using Margaret's age not as a natural part of who she was, but as a vulnerability to exploit. Every woman over 60 should internalize this truth. Your age is not a limitation, a flaw, or a reason to settle for anything less than respect, kindness, and authentic affection. If a man implies that your experience, maturity, or age somehow diminishes your value, it's a reflection of his own insecurities, biases, or inability to honor a partner fully. True emotional maturity in a man shows up in how he recognizes your worth, just as it is, seasoned, wise, and complete. Never let anyone make you question the richness and beauty of the life and perspective you bring into a relationship. To protect yourself from the age-shaming strategy, set firm boundaries. Don't allow subtle comments about your age to go unchallenged. Reaffirm your value daily by reflecting on your accomplishments, experiences, and the qualities that make you unique. Surround yourself with supportive friends who recognize and celebrate your worth, providing perspective when someone tries to undermine it. And practice selective attention. Learn to quickly identify manipulative language and decide not to internalize it, keeping your confidence and self-respect intact. Manipulative men often disguise control under charm and flattery, which we'll explore next.
You should be grateful someone your age wants you. One of the most insidious tactics I've seen is when men try to make older women feel indebted simply for receiving attention. This statement isn't a compliment, it's a subtle attempt to shift power, manipulate emotions, and lower your standards. It implies that your worth is tied to scarcity rather than to your inherent qualities, achievements, and character. Emotionally mature men don't view dating as a transaction where gratitude is expected. They see it as a mutual connection between two equals. If someone truly values you, they celebrate your presence and contribution without making you feel lucky to be chosen. Any man who frames your age as something you should be thankful for is revealing insecurity, entitlement, or a lack of respect for your full life and experiences. This warning sign represents the most direct assault on an older woman's sense of worth, and I've seen it destroy the confidence of women who had spent decades building successful careers, raising families, and contributing meaningfully to their communities. This phrase is particularly insidious because it contains a grain of truth wrapped in a poisonous lie. The grain of truth is that dating can be more challenging as we age. The poisonous lie is that this reality should make women accept disrespect, abuse, or settling for someone who treats them poorly. A man who genuinely values you demonstrates it through his actions, not by making you feel obligated or lucky for his attention. His respect is consistent. He listens, honors your boundaries, and treats your opinions and feelings as meaningful. He doesn't exploit your age to justify dismissive or selfish behavior. Instead, he recognizes that your life experience, emotional intelligence, and hard-earned wisdom are assets no one can diminish with empty comments. Comment below with your thoughts or experiences, and don't forget to save this video so you can reflect on it later. Finally, be willing to walk away from entitlement. If someone continually expects gratitude for merely dating you, recognize it as a red flag and prioritize partners who treat you as an equal rather than a favor recipient. Understanding this helps protect your sense of worth, but there's another subtle tactic older women need to watch out for, one that targets emotional vulnerability in a completely different way.
Number 5. I'm just being honest. I've learned that men who consistently deliver cruel observations under the guise of honesty are showing you exactly who they are, and you must believe them immediately. This final warning sign is particularly dangerous because it wears the mask of virtue, making cruelty seem like honesty or concern. A man employing this tactic often frames his criticism or controlling behavior as helpful guidance or tough love, convincing you that he is being candid or morally upright. In reality, each comment chips away at your confidence, subtly undermines your self-esteem, and creates doubt about your judgment and worth. By presenting himself as courageous or principled, he manipulates the situation so that you question your own feelings while he retains power, turning honesty into a tool for emotional control rather than mutual respect. Dr. John Gottman's research on relationship dynamics shows that criticism disguised as honesty is one of the strongest predictors of relationship failure and emotional damage. Richard wasn't being honest, he was being cruel and using honesty as his excuse. Real honesty in a loving, respectful relationship never comes with judgment, shame, or power plays. It's expressed gently, with consideration for your feelings, needs, and autonomy. Compliments are balanced with observations that uplift rather than criticize, and suggestions are framed as collaborative rather than corrective. For example, noticing a color suits someone while gently offering an alternative highlights care and attentiveness, not control. Offering help when someone struggles or suggesting shared experiences like cooking together emphasizes partnership and mutual growth instead of exploiting vulnerability. True honesty strengthens connection, it builds trust, encourages confidence, and celebrates each person's individuality. One way to protect yourself is to pause and evaluate whether the comment is truly constructive or a disguised attack. Trust your instincts. Set clear boundaries by calmly stating that you do not accept criticism delivered as honesty and redirect the conversation toward mutual respect. Surround yourself with people and partners who model honest communication with empathy, where feedback uplifts rather than diminish you. Recognizing and calling out this behavior early prevents it from eroding your confidence and ensures your relationships are built on genuine care, not manipulation. The difference is care, kindness, and genuine desire to build up rather than tear down. As I reflect on these 5 warning signs, attacking your emotional responses, blaming all past partners, using age against you, demanding gratitude for poor treatment, and disguising cruelty as honesty, I'm struck by a disturbing truth. They all aim to convince you that you're the problem when someone treats you poorly. The sensitivity attacks make you doubt your right to object. The crazy ex stories prepare you to accept being called unreasonable. The age manipulation makes you feel you should settle for less. The gratitude demands make you feel selfish for wanting respect. And the cruel honesty makes you believe you deserve criticism.
At our age, we've earned the right to expect kindness, respect, and genuine affection in our relationships. We've contributed to families, communities, and society for decades. We've survived losses, overcome challenges, and developed wisdom that deserves honor, not exploitation. If any man in your life uses these phrases, please understand, this isn't about your worth, your desirability, or your options. This is about his character, his intentions, and his unsuitability as a partner. The right response isn't to work harder to please him, or to examine what you might be doing wrong. The right response is to remove him from your life immediately. You are not too old to deserve respect. You are not too damaged to expect kindness. You are not limited in options to require genuine affection. Any man who suggests otherwise is disqualifying himself from the privilege of your companionship. I want every woman watching this to remember, loneliness is painful, but it's temporary and healable. The damage from staying with someone who systematically undermines your worth can last for years and affect every aspect of your life. Thank you for letting me share these protective warnings with you. If you've experienced any of these red flags, please share your story in the comments. Your experience might save another woman from months or years of emotional damage. Don't forget to like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you won't miss the rest of the series. Remember, the right person will add joy to your life, not convince you that you're lucky to have any attention at all. Stay tuned to explore the other crucial warning signs. Until next time, may you trust your instincts, protect your heart, and never settle for treatment that diminishes the magnificent woman you've become through living.